I got side quested hardcore again. I didn't keep reading my notes, so I'm going to finish answering a question that I got so I can start researching or talking about how I got to this, or even touching in on the Anunnaki, or touching in on how all this correlates with the other mythologies, because I have such an ADHD brain. When I get my questions in my box, I want everybody to be heard, and I want everybody to know that I'm listening, because that is big for me, and that is extremely draining for me, but I'm going to try to do this the best I can. So, to answer the question about devil tempting Jesus, this is exactly what Satan would do, the Satan that's sitting in God's throne during the Great Deception. He would show himself as Satan, because Jesus is one of us. He didn't come in here knowing, because when you come into this plane, we don't know. We come in forgetting. So Satan gets to still manipulate Jesus as Satan, and he's sitting in God's throne during this Great Deception of the little season, and God is down here. He's being quiet. Satan's ruling. So Jesus got tempted by Satan. So Satan comes down from the throne and is like, hey, I can convince you because you're shakeable. You forgot. And so he comes down and says, turn that stone into bread. And Jesus says, no, I'm not doing that. That's not what my Father wants. And then Satan keeps doing these things to poke him. Hey, the angels, you can just jump right off here. It'll be fine. Just go ahead. And he's like, no, that's not what my Father told me to do. Because his Father, he thinks, is the one sitting in the throne, but in reality, the Satan is sitting in the throne, and God is sitting down here watching this play out. So he keeps tempting Jesus as himself, because Jesus is one of us. He's not exactly 100% on board with what's going on. He would know before he came here, but while he's here, he's not going to remember. None of us remember. That's why we come into this world. Some of us do know for a while, but we push that out of those little guys that tell us about their past lives. I'm getting on a side quest. Let me continue. So Jesus comes in and gets tested by Satan, who's sitting in God's throne. And he says to do all these things, and he refuses. He says, no, that's not what my Father taught me. That's not what I'm doing here. You cannot convince me to do these things. And so I'm not saying Jesus is the devil. When I say Jesus is Lucifer, Jesus is coming from what we would perceive as the devil because of the Satan's little season. We got Satan in heaven. He's sitting there in God's throne making the rules and giggling away at all this deception that he's able to create. And Jesus is from this guy. And he is trying to tell us this by Revelations 22, chapter 22, verse 16. I am the morning star, David and the morning star. So, morning star is the true God, right? So the true God is down here. We have the fake God, Satan, up here. The true star, which we'd call Lucifer, which was the fallen from heaven, was really the true God, and we're being deceived. So I'm not saying I'm not saying Jesus is Satan. I'm saying Satan is sitting in God's throne during the Great Deception, where he's reigning in the little season. God is sitting on its side quest, watching this all play out, hoping we find our way back to him. That is what I meant. Not saying that Satan is the good guy, because Satan's still here. What we perceive as Satan in the Bible, if it is in the little season, God is sitting down here watching Satan rule. I have never felt more confident in something that I've ever said a day in my life than I do about this. And there's a lot of places in the Bible that can start pushing you to seeing this. If you read Deuteronomy, and that's what the rules come from, a lot of the area in Deuteronomy. And that book is pretty awful. The sacrifices, the things that they make them do, God would make you do in order to be considered good. Calling himself a jealous God, which I just read in the secret book of John and referred back to in looking at the Bible. And then if you translate some things from Hebrew, because he mentions that he is a jealous God, jealous. I have it written down. That'll be a further video. But a God that would be jealous and manipulative and hurtful is not the guy that's sitting in the throne originally. That guy went from here to here, and the guy that's normally sitting here is down here. And I'm repeating this because I feel like the last videos I've made got it really confused. Some of you caught on to what I was saying. My brain works in spirals. I spin and spin and spin until I get to the center, and sometimes I'm able to wrap it up, and sometimes people get lost in the wayside. But since I have a high enough following, I'm hoping this gets out, and I'm hoping you guys understand, and I'm hoping you guys are bearing with me for the last now 16 minutes with the previous video. Keep an open mind. Read your Bible, and read it with an open eye. Read the Gnostic texts that say this, the ones that had to be buried and hidden for us to not know the truth. We are in a deception. The true God would not be this mean and cruel and hurtful and ignore our prayers and ignore everything that we've said, letting all of this bad stuff happen. We have stress, anger, fighting. Just the true frequency we need to be at is love. And that's not this dude. Not right now. This dude is actually vibrating at a very low level. Anger, hatred, division, stress, depression. This dude that's normally up here, he vibrates on love. He vibrates on knowing. He vibrates on knowledge. He vibrates on us being happy, pure, golden. And I'm just using the Bible as a reference because that's what most people know of. And that's what I was taught to believe as a child that had so many questions. I was like, this is wrong. Like, this can't be this angry. But like I said in my last video, this is going to be a safe space. And we're going to be able to talk about anything that has to do with this. Any kind of thing where it comes to psilocybin being the thing that was the fruit in the Garden of Eden. 10 out of 10 believe that. The road to Ulysses, a word wrong, but there's a book in Greek mythology that talks about that. My husband found that one because we both are on different planes of knowledge, and then we collide into each other and we get all that information and we get those juicy pieces. And that's where I'm at now. And I feel confident enough to divulge this information outward when this is something completely out of my comfort level. But like I said, safe space. So if you have contradicting beliefs, enlighten me. If you have further knowledge, tell me. Talk to each other in the comments. Tell each other what we know, what we've discovered. Lead people to the right books. Like, I am a part of Book Talk. We share books all the time. We love books. Like, we love reading. And a lot of the ladies on those Book Talk girls, they will, and men, will read some books. And all of those in between. We'll read some books that are pretty gory. And if you want to get into some gore, you start reading your Bible. That's got some gore. But yeah, safe space. Positivity. Learning. Knowledge. That's what we're sharing. That's where we're going with this. And I love you guys, and I appreciate all the comments, and I will try my dangest to get back to every single one of you as much as I possibly can. Thank you.